guess I did. Okay. So here we have Harmonize Chong. Did I start on page 2? Of course I did. Here we have Harmonize Chong. So we got in this formula, Dongguai. It's still working there, right? My thing is jumping all over the place. It looks normal over there? It looks okay? Dongguai, Bai Xiao, Aye, He Huan Hua, Fu Shen, Yin Yang Huo, Du Zhong, Chuan Sheng, Ren Shen, Dong Shen, Gan Sao, Wu Ju Yu, Chong Wei Zi, Ro Gui, and Gui Zhi. Anything else? I think I said them all. So Harmonize Chong warms, supports, and dissolves somatic and non-somatic habituated patterns, accumulation, stagnations, and stasis in all 3 wombs, particularly the lower womb. That's what we're doing here. So let's get into our dyads and triads. So here are our old friends again, right? Bai Xiao and Dongguai. And if you remember, we started out with like Chai Hu and Bai Xiao, and then we had Bai Xiao with Dongguai pulling it down right towards the pelvis. So here, the Dongguai Bai Xiao dyad is really tonifying and moving Dongguai, which is one of the great, we know it as a female herb, but again, it's because it's this Chong pelvis herbs. It's tonifying and moving blood and regulating all of the cyclic interactions in the Chong. So it has a lot to do with menstruation in women. But it disperses, and this is the Dongguai, it disperses and moves and brings attention to the old in the pelvis, or what we might call old cold. So it's a very important herb for not just sort of recognizing and starting to move, gently move that old cold, but it also is very nurturing to the blood and the yin. Dongguai really does go in there and start to break up habituated, particularly emotional patterns, and it travels in the blood. So it's blood level, the longer wall. So when you think about qi, on the level of the qi, they're newer, quicker patterns. And by the time they're in the blood, they're more deeply habituated patterns. Dongguai also helps generate flesh, which is really very important here, because it helps encourage the birthing or the emergence of the new. So remember, the Chong is constantly dissolving the old and birthing the new. And Dongguai also, in this particular formula, has a very important role where it helps guide the dissolved out of the body. It helps bring it out of the body. So remember when we talk about the Chong, that aspect where the dye puts it out, the first line of putting out there, and the Chong is where it comes out of the body. So the Dongguai is said to do that, to guide the released out. And physically it does it physically out through the intestines and through the bowels. Dongguai, this dyad here, they're used together, is also, it's very moistening, and it makes the whole emotional processing and more supple, like adding sap to a tree limb. And it's really good for the processing and the handling of and the dealing with physical and emotional pain. And also, when you're going into the Chong and you're releasing this, you could tend to release stuff. And part of what happens when you release old stuff is it can rise up, we call it wind, into the body, and Bai Xiao helps that wind not rise. And most importantly, Dongguai has this component, Dongguai and Bai Xiao together. Dongguai would tend to speed things up in the pelvis a little bit too much, a quick rhythm. And with Bai Xiao in the right proportions, it sort of slows the whole thing down, makes it a little more rhythmical. And then we have Chuan Sheng. And when you put Chuan Chong with Dongguai and Bai Xiao, Chong Chong is a warming herb and it's pungent. It has a little bit more moving action, but with the Bai Xiao, again, it sort of counterbalances that moving action, but it really gets things harmonizing through the entire pelvis. So it makes sure the Dongguai and the Bai Xiao sort of spreads out through the whole pelvis. And it also connects the middle womb, the lower womb to the middle womb to the upper womb. So it has this component, when combined with Dongguai and Bai Xiao, being able to take this beautiful thing that's happening in the lower womb and sort of share it and spread it into the middle and upper wombs. So this is a triad that can really harmonize all three wombs. And there's our beautiful photo again. And as a reminder, we can use Harmonize Chong for cultivation, somatic and non-somatic disharmonies. For somatic manifestations, combined with emotional ease, for non-somatic. And for somatic manifestations, we might use Yan Hu So with it. So I really love